In today's video, I'm going to be showing you 5 industrial systems that everyone should have in their Rust base. Today's circuits include an auto smelter, an auto dropbox setup, an auto crafting station, auto upkeep for your main TC and your external TCs, as well as an automatic sorting system which is modular and can be expanded to any base size. The auto smelter means you can drop everything off and have all of your stuff smelting without you needing to be there. Dropbox allows you to have dropboxes all around your base or your compound, and they'll all go into the main system. An auto crafter allows you to have any desirable craftable item in whatever specific quantity you want. The auto upkeep system allows you to not have to worry about the limits on your base size, as you get larger you can just put all of your upkeep into a large amount of boxes and they'll all go into the auto upkeep on its own. The automatic sorting system means that you don't have to worry about your lazy teammates who keep dumping the wrong stuff in the wrong boxes, as this will fix all of your problems. With all that being said, let's get into the build guide. So first of all, you just have your solar panel, any power source generation, and then that wire runs straight into your battery. Start off with a small one, obviously get larger. Then you have your Dropbox, which will have one of these storage adapters on it. Conveyor here pulls things out of the box. So if you put one down, and then you give it some power. So I'm just going to set an E branch in case I need more power in the future. You can just go power output here to your E branch, and then we'll do branch out into our conveyor. For now, it's just going to have 2 because it doesn't really need any power. So now this thing will start sucking. What's it going to suck? Well, you need to have a storage adapter going into it. So we will also set up, let's say, some electric furnaces. Let's just check down 3, and then we can power them with a splitter. So I'll connect another E branch here. This E branch I'm going to set to 9 because each furnace is going to use 3 power. So if we branch out 9 power here, this can then go into the splitter, and from here we turn on all of our electric furnaces. Obviously you could branch out more power, use more splitters for more furnaces if you want to. And then you just put these storage adapters on and connect it all in one big closed circle. So for this, I'm going to go industrial output. It's going to go into this conveyor, like so. And then out of here, it's going to come down and into our first furnace. So, and then you just connect them all in one long chain. And you can add more and more if you want to, but for now 3 is fine. Then at the very last one, you're just going to create a pipe and go all the way back to the start. Now you have this closed circle loop. And what's great about this is you can dump everything into the Dropbox and they'll smelt and go straight back into the Dropbox. And just depot everything into here, like so. You'll see the conveyor is now going to suck things out and put them into the furnace. And as soon as it's done smelting, the conveyor will then pull them back out and into the Dropbox. So then over time, this will just fill up and get completely refined. Okay, so you've seen how I do it this way. Now what we're going to do is expand this system and use it with regular furnaces. You don't really get any charcoal this way. It's usually quite good to replace these with regular furnaces. So I'm going to remove these. Don't need the splitter. And instead what we're going to do is use regular furnaces. So set up some regular furnaces, like so. This time we are going to need our output box. It just makes the system a lot more simple. You can do it with one box, but you need a lot more conveyors, so it makes it more complicated. So instead what we're going to do is use another conveyor. Conveyors are like lights, they have a pass-through, so if we just branch out 2 power into the first conveyor, we can then just pass the power all the way into the second one and turn that on. You can see they both have more. That's getting 1 power in. If you want to connect more conveyors in the future, then all you have to do is set this more. So if you set this to 5, you can have 5 conveyors. Okay, so these are all going to need storage adapters, just like the other furnaces. And this time is going to be a one-way path. Our Dropbox here, pipe is going to be going into the first one here, and then we're going to have it go into our first pipe. Second one goes into there. And instead of going back to the first box, we're just going to drop it into a new box. makes this system a lot easier. Great. Okay, so now all of our stuff is going to go into the first conveyor, which is going to suck it into the furnaces, and then the second one is going to suck it into the final box. You can just have this set up like this, or have the closed loop. However, it's a lot easier if you have an igniter, because otherwise it's a bit of a pain. Just put the igniter somewhere where it's going to reach all of the furnaces. So I'm just going to put this up here, like so. These do take damage, so sometimes you want to be able to reach it, so you can repair it. You want to time it to limit the duration. So we're going to take the timer here, and we're going to set this time to just 2 seconds. You can do it as 1 second, but sometimes the wood doesn't reach it in time, so 2 seconds is usually safer. Then we're going to go filter pass, very important that you do pass, and this is going to go into the timer, into the toggle on. Now we need to make sure that the timer actually has some power, so you can just set this to 1. Pink as well. Like so. This way, the output of the timer can then go into the igniter. So now the way this works is the main power source is going to be powering our timer, which will go into this. And then if we flick the switch, it should activate the igniter, like so. Now you can manually do this, however, the filter pass here will also pick this up whenever you drop stuff off. So this way, see all of our furnaces don't have anything. However, if we get some wood as well, we're going to get some wood, some ore. You can see the filter pass has already picked it up. Now the only downside to this circuit is that it's a little bit small. So if we take stuff out of here, let's say one of our furnaces turns off, and then eventually some of the other ones start to shut off. Everything's turning off, right? Our farmer might come home and pour in a bunch of metal. It's going to ignite it, but it's not going to, it's not going to work because there's no wood, right? You set up multiple conveyors and only ignite it when you have both wood and metal. But for this video, we're just going to keep things simple. Ideally, when you fill up this box, you're filling it up with both. And if the timing doesn't work out, then you can always just flip the timer switch, and it's going to ignite everything anyway. Make sure that you're repairing this every now and then. And you can extend this to a large furnace as well. Your igniter outside. And the cool thing about this is in this first conveyor, you can actually choose it to only pull a set amount of items. So let's say we want to get all of this. It's going to be grabbing these items. You can set the wood maximum amount to 20, let's say something like 5 for ore. If you go any lower than this, then sometimes you'll lower your efficiency. But what this will do is that if there's nothing in here, it will only fill it up to the set amount. So yes, it's 20, whichever one it's going to fill it up with, it'll only do 20 wood. You can see there it's reignited it. It only has wood in there, so I'm going to have to put some more metal in there. You can see how it's only burning 20 wood at a time. It'll only burn 20 metal at a time. This way you can protect your external TCs from thieves. But you don't really need to do it if you're just doing it with small furnaces inside. You just leave it to the maximum, and then it'll run like this. Okay, next circuit we're going to do is a Dropbox setup. So all you need for this one is a chain of combiners and one conveyor, and that's gonna enable you to pull everything in. So you can set this up for as many drop boxes as you want. Let's say you have a reasonably sized base, you can just do 9. So this is going to set it up for, there's going to be 9 inputs. You can have up to 9 drop boxes. Obviously if you want more, you just put more of these combiners up the top, and then you can do another row and it'll go up to 27 and so on. And you can have different systems, so they're not all on the same grid if you want as well. But for now, we're just going to have 9. And then this output is going to go into a conveyor. So you have one conveyor here, And all of these 9 drop boxes are going to come into the conveyor, and the output is going to go into this box over here. Great. This can be set to anything, doesn't need to have any values. All it needs to do is make sure that you have a little bit of power here. So we'll just make sure the conveyor has at least 1 power. You set this one? Yep. As long as it has 1 power, then you're good to go. Now it's going to suck everything into this drop box. And all of these arms, you can now connect them to anywhere on your base. So let's say you have, I don't know, maybe you have a box up here that you want. You have a box here, put 1 storage adapter onto it, and all you need to do now is just connect the storage adapter, the out, into this box. Make sure that the pipes are going through actual terrain. Bring this all the way over to here. Like so. And now this top drop box here, we put some high qual, all this stuff in here. It's all slowly going to get sucked into the main box. So we put the high qual, disappeared, and it's going to end up in this box. And the cool thing about this is pipes extend up to 30 meters away. So let's say that you want another one. You could have a drop box out in your compound over here, 10 meters away. This could just be a drop box in your compound. Industrial out. Cool. Now you can have a drop box out in your compound. Let's say let's put the furnaces in here. Yep. That's going to go into here. And you can obviously just keep setting these up anywhere in your base, which is really, really handy because you don't have to keep building more conveyors. Once you've set up this very simple circuit here, you can connect them. And you can also extend this if your buffer boxes or drop boxes are getting full, then just put the industrial out into this one, so you can have multiple drop boxes. Okay, next up we have the industrial crafter. Now this is super simple and is definitely by far one of the most game-changing ones. So you can have up to 2 crafters on a workbench. This is usually enough for me, but if you need more, then usually just keep your tier 2s around. You can put your tier 2 on your second floor and set that up as well. So you're going to want to have an in box and then an out box. So 1 box over here. Of course, both of these are going to need storage adapters on them, like so. And then you're going to need 2 conveyors per crafter. So if we're just going to use 1 crafter, then it's just going to look like this. Make sure that you're powering not only the conveyors, but also the industrial crafter. So if you look here, you can see how much each one uses. So a crafter uses 1 power usage. So for this setup, we're going to need 3. So we'll go power into here, pass through to here. Finally, this pass through can come. Let's go back up to power in. Now all of these are going to have power. So you can turn them on. You are going to need a splitter or an E-branch if you want to set up another circuit on the other crafter. And then what you want to do is set your requirements. So first of all, we're going to figure out what blueprints we want to do. The most common ones that I would say is usually a medical syringe, and then I do pistol ammo, rifle ammo, and do bandages as well. So these 4 things, having these readily available at all times without having to craft them is super, super handy. Then you're going to have to research the thing. It'll say already researched, but you still have to research it. So obviously if you're playing vanilla and you don't have that much extra scrap, then maybe just do this for meds, because meds only cost 75 scrap. But I would highly recommend doing it for all of them. Another really good one is wooden barricades. You can do this for kits as well, but it's quite expensive doing all the kits, to be honest. There we go. And then you're just going to put all of them, all of your blueprints into here. Then what you're going to want to do is set your input and your output. So if we're doing these ones, we're going to need some metal fragments, and you can set the maximum to be the amount that you need to craft. So for example, for a medical syringe, you're going to need at least 10 metal frags, at least 10 low grade, at least 15 cloth. So you can go low grade, 10 cloth, max 10, and then for the ammo, gunpowder, let's see, 506 costs 5 gunpowder and 10 metal frags, so we're going to need at least 5 gunpowder in there. Now that you've got all this, you'll be able to craft pretty much every single blueprint that's in here. And then on the output, you can set the minimum and the maximum. So for 5.5, you want to make sure that you definitely have a minimum, so 1 stays in the crafter at all times. And then the maximum is how much ammo do you want. So let's say we want 100 ammo. We'll do something like this. Do 100 medical syringes, minimum 1, maximum say 20 meds, bandages, minimum 1, let's say maximum 20 bandages. Okay, great. Now we've got our min and our maxes, we just have to hook up the piping. So industrial output here, and this goes into the crafter, and the crafter into our last conveyor, and the last one into this. Okay, cool. So now this conveyor is going to suck the resources, this one's going to suck the finished product, and this drop box is going to have all of our finished product. So now what we need to do is get a bunch of cloth, metal frags, low grade, and gunpowder. And this is going to be a resources box, so you just want to make sure that this box is just full of all the stuff that you need. Usually I just have my resource box be underneath the tier 3, because you can do this exact same setup here. You can do this exact same setup with a small box here, and I usually just put my adapter on the small box and make sure that this box is full of full of resources at all time. In case any players want to manually craft anything themselves, it's usually handy to keep that going. And you can see here, this conveyor is going to start to fill up, and it's going to make sure that it always leaves at least 1 item in here. It orders from left to right, so if you want to make sure that all the meds are crafted first, then you would do this setup and just make sure that all of the meds are crafted here, and then you can choose your priority between your ammo. You can see here the pistol ammo is crafting a little bit too soon for the meds to be able to even craft the meds, so it's just going to keep crafting the pistol ammo until it's done. So we could either wait for the pistol ammo to be done, or we could just come over here and maybe give it a little bit more of these guys, so that it always has enough stuff to craft meds. See here, it can now see that it has enough stuff to craft meds, so instead of going to the pistol ammo, it's going to do this. You see meds take a little bit longer to craft than pistol ammo. And you can see it's going to fill up a med slot here. If we fill this up with lots of meds and ammo, then you'll see that the conveyor is going to go, okay, we don't need to craft these anymore. And the only problem with this is that it's still going to want to craft these other first 2 things, because it has the resources to do so, and it works left to right priority. So this slot here is now going to keep filling up with meds. Like this, which is obviously a problem. This is not what we want. So instead, what we're going to make sure we do is make sure that we have at least one of every single type here in the crafter. So you can grab this out, like so. Now that we have one of everything in here, it'll always, it'll never craft too much of anything. And in fact, what it'll actually do is stop crafting once these are all stacked up. We'll often fill up with a stack of pistol ammo here as well. There's not too much you can do about that. Just quickly show you, and obviously, like I said, it's quite easy to just do this again if you want to have a second one. So here, branch out 3, power in, pass through, power in, and these on. So we can open up this one, put the wooden barricade in here. Obviously this is going to require wood to be sucked out of here. This doesn't really need a maximum. So 500 wood, sure. Let's pass out. Barricade. Barricade. Minimum. We'll leave 1 in there. Maximum. Let's say we want 20 wooden barricades. If we want this to go in the same output Dropbox, just have a combiner here. So instead, this output will be going into one of the combiner trees. So, and the output will be just going to the box. This way, both the conveyors will be on the exact same system. And then, if you want to use the same Dropbox, you can. If you want to use the same Dropbox, you can do the reverse, have a splitter here. But maybe you want to keep your boxes separate. So, industrial out, like so, and then this is just going to go into. That's just going to go into that, and then this. So then we can just depot our wood in here, find some wood, and then this will start to fill up with wood, and then the output will get clogged. One trick you can do here so that the output doesn't get clogged up with a bunch of barricades is you can just put some junk items in the other ones, and then once that slowly starts to fill up with wood, we will get our first barricade crafting. And that will start to craft our barricades. And obviously you can do lots of blueprints. You can see this one is now starting to fill up with meds quite well. Still going. Resources are quite strong. And that's the industrial crafter. And you can set up multiple of these throughout your base, but I honestly think that just setting up one module for meds and ammo is a huge time saver. Okay, the next one I'm going to do is auto upkeep. This is really handy because if you're playing on vanilla wipes and your base is large enough, if you go to bed, you pretty much have to log on right as you wake up again. So you can actually set this up so you can leave your base for longer periods of time. You can also extend this to your external TCs. This way you don't have to keep opening those glass windows. You can just auto upkeep them, which is really handy. All you really need is a storage adapter on your tool cupboard, and then you're just going to need one conveyor. If you use external TCs, you can use one conveyor for all of your external TCs and just connect them in a chain. But the conveyor determines how many resources are going to the tool cupboard. So obviously for your main base you'll need one conveyor, and then for all the external TCs you'll need a second conveyor. Okay, so make sure that the conveyor has at least one power. Power in, turn on, great. All you have to do is wire it up. So this industrial out will be going into this conveyor. Those pipes can be a little bit of a pain. Industrial in, great, and industrial out into the tool cupboard. Okay, so right now it will just, if we turn it on, it'll just pull all of the items into the PC, which is not what we want. You want to have a look and see what your base needs, and then figure out the maximum amount of stuff you can fit, and then you can figure out, and then you can determine how much you want to put in it. So for example, this is 346 stone. So what I could do here, let's just go stone, and then if I choose 346 as the maximum, apply, then pull into do. Okay, so now once this thing is turned on, I could have an entire box full of stone here, but it's only going to pull 346 stone into my TC. So this is going to keep it upkept for 24 hours. Now if you have a really big base, obviously you might not even be able to get 24 hours, but you'll at least be able to get, you'll at least be able to fill up a large box full of all the natural resources that you have, so that once the tool cupboard starts to use up some of its stuff, you can just put another one. And what's great about this is you can actually set up multiple boxes like this. So then you can have them in chains. You have industrial out, going into the industrial in, like so. This way, we can then maybe fill up this box to be full of metal, let's say. Like so. Remember that this is only pulling stone right now, so it's not going to pull any stone. It's not going to pull any metal either. But let's say that we do some base upgrades, and now we need 41 metal frags. Okay, just go into here. Metal fragments, let's get 41. hit apply, and that should start sucking up the metal frags to come in here as well. There we go, 41, and it's going to stop at that. And you can just set up a whole chain of these and have a bunch of them, so that you can always make sure that your upkeep's going to be fine. And you don't have to keep logging on every 5 hours to maintain your massive base. You can also extend this. So for example, if we have a bunch of splitters here, so industrial output, it's red, like so, then you can just split the outputs. Like so, then you can split the output to be into this tool cupboard, and it's still going to work the exact same. If we let this decay a little bit, take some of the stone out, it's still going to start filling up and go right back up to the maximum amount. There we go, 346 achieved. And then what you can do is have your external TCs. So we just have to go away until we don't have building privilege. So tool cupboard like this, glass window, and then just make sure you have your storage adapter on the top. And then you can pipe it out. So industrial in is going to be able to go into this one, so, and then you can put your glass window on, and this tool cupboard is completely protected. But if we look inside, you see that it's going to be getting the exact same amount. Now obviously you might not want the same for your tool cupboard as your main base. You can do something like this, and you can connect them all up in series. So you could connect that one to another external TC. And if you wanted that to be separate, then obviously you should have 2 conveyors. So you would disconnect your main tool cupboard. I pretty much just want a single line to your main tool cupboard like this, and then you just have one more splitter. So these are all your resource boxes, and then one of them will go into your main tool cupboard. This one might be so let's say this is the external TC one, and we only want this to be, let's say, 250, maybe 10. You can actually copy this, paste it in here, apply, but you might want this to be a lot higher for your main TC. So let's say we have 10,000 of this, 5,000 of this, something like this. Then just connect the other one up, like so. And just make sure that this one has a little bit of power as well, so you can pass through that. Make sure that this has at least 2 power, otherwise it's not going to get enough power. Like this. So now you have this massive splitter wall for one conveyor, which will be all of your external TCs. And if we just go have a look, you can see that this one's getting not that many. We only set this to 120, 200. So 240, there we go, 10 has been achieved. But if we go over to our main TC, we can see that this is slowly starting to fill up because we set this to be a much higher amount. Let's say we set it to be 2,000 and 1,000. Apply. There we go, 2,000 and 1,000, exactly what we set it for. And then you can go to bed in peace. Okay, next up I'm going to show you a modular auto sorting system. This is really handy because you save a lot of time not having to sort boxes, but out of all the simple OP circuits, this one is definitely takes the most amount of time to set up. So it's worth it if you're playing a long, medium to long wipe. Not worth it if you're just playing around for a few hours. Okay, so I usually do this when I have multiple solar panels and a large battery. You can do it with a medium battery as well, depending on how big your circuit is, but I don't usually do this when I'm just doing a small battery circuit, because you're going to need quite a lot of stuff for this one. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is have some form of a buffer box. The buffer box is going to be where all your stuff's, all your drop boxes connects to. So for this one, what I usually do is just have one conveyor sucking everything into this drop box. Remember that circuit that I showed you earlier? You can have your 9 drop boxes, your 9 drop boxes, and then that's going to be getting sucked into like so. So your 9 drop boxes are going to be getting sucked into the buffer box. This circuit's going to require quite a few different E branches. So usually what I do is just chain a bunch together. So the branch out goes into power, goes into the next one, and then from here we can branch out how much power we need. Depending on how big your circuit is, don't really know. I just set this, this is set to 10, so I can set up 10 of these conveyors, like so with the blue wire. But this one you just set to how many conveyors you've got connected. So if you don't know how many you're going to do, then just set it to 10 for now. And just to give you an idea of what the drop box will look like, you can have an outside box like so, and then this is a drop box, so industrial out, it'll be something like this, and these are all your drop boxes that are just going to go into the system. One thing that we will say is for this conveyor, you actually want to make sure that you have a wall of combiners, because we're going to have to feed stuff back into the buffer box. So what you do here is just create another wall of combiners, like so. And so instead of actually going straight into the buffer box, it's just going to go into this wall of combiners like this. Like so. So now we have all of our Dropbox combiners, and we have all of our feedback loop combiners. The next thing that we need is going to be, just use that for now. Next thing we need is the wall of conveyors. We're going to need a wall of conveyors and a wall of splitters. So the splitters are essentially, you can obviously set this up however you want, but I'm just trying to make it as obvious as possible. So the splitters, so it's going to be a little bit chaotic, but the idea with splitters is you can pretty much just start off with one splitter and then just keep expanding and have as many splitters if you want. And if you ever run out of space, then you can always just add another splitter. So this looks a bit chaotic. I usually just compact them all together and just have one massive wall of splitters. And then the final thing that you're going to need is pairs of conveyors. This is going to be the in and out conveyors. So you have a pair like this. We're going to set up 6 for now, but essentially for every single Dropbox you want, or category you want, you're going to need a pair of these. Okay, so this is what you have. You have your Dropbox, you have your Dropboxes, your buffer box, your feedback combiners, wall of splitters, and then your pair of conveyors. So this is going to all require power. Conveyors will require power, so pass through into this, power in into pass through, and you can pretty much just connect all these in a nice long daisy chain. You see we have 6 here, 1 there, so for now we only need 7 power, and that's going to be enough to turn all of these on. But obviously I'm going to expand and have more conveyors most likely, so you just keep this E branch open, you can keep changing it. Okay, cool. Now we need our boxes. So now we have a bunch of different boxes that we want to sort. Each one of these pairings has to go into one of them. So I'm going to do 4 boxes. Let's just do 4 boxes for now. So add one more set of these and do the pass through. So now this needs to be set to 9, so we have 1 plus 8. Okay, cool. Now the way this works is the output from the buffer box, out, will go into this crazy wall of splitters. The very first one. Sometimes if you place the pipes in the wrong spot, you just right click and place again. So then the buffer box is going to go into the wall of splitters, into this sandwich, to the boxes, and then back into these combiners. Okay, so you can just take any one of these splitters, as long as it's connected to the crazy mess, and put it into the left one. Then from the left one, the output is going to come down into one of these boxes. So let's put a conveyor on here and connect it up. So it's going into the first filter and into this. Then it's going to come back down pretty much the exact same tree and go into the next one because it's going to suck it out. And then finally from here, we're going to send it all the way back to our combiners. So this yellow pipe here, it's going to send it all the way back to the beginning and into the buffer box. So now what it's doing is it's going into the conveyors and it's going to the tools. And so for these ones, we want tools. Now you can copy this filter, and on the right one we need to do the exact same thing, paste, tools, but we need to make sure we set this to exclude listed items. Now what we can do is this only wants to see tools in it. So I can now dump anything I want in here, and if it is not a tool, then it's not going to like it. I'll just arm myself with a bunch of random stuff. See, everything is getting filtered out except for the tools. Grab all of my stuff here, put it into my Dropbox. So. Is that getting sucked up? Yep. You see, it's all gotten sucked up into this Dropbox, into the buffer box. And this is all the unsorted stuff. However, the tools will make their way over to the tools box. And I can put any of this random stuff in here. And if it's not a tool, then it's going to get thrown out. So if your teammates put the wrong stuff in here, stackable stuff like stone takes a while to filter out, but it'll eventually get filtered out and be put back into the buffer box, which you can use then for future sorting. Let's set up some more. Okay, so exactly the same. We're gonna go input. This one's gonna be for comps. Except this time, let's go into the armor. Put a storage adapter on it. And exactly the same. Bring it all the way back, and we want it to go into the matching conveyor. Like so. So it's going down into the armor, back up into this conveyor, and then finally yellow. Let's bring it all home. Like so. Now we need to just make sure that we set these to armor. Usually I like to have this dedicated for proper kits. Coffee can, boots. Let's go. Remember, you can just copy this and then paste it here. Make sure that you select exclude listed items. So the right ones that are excluding, the left ones are choosing. You see the armor here, we filled up with some random crap before, but now that we've set our filters, this should all disappear. So then, just chuck on my Dropbox, like so. It's all getting sucked up pretty quickly. You can see here on the filter wall, it's starting to filter out. And the tools are getting sorted nicely, and the clothing as well. The stone's just taking a little bit of time, because anything that stacks to 1,000 takes a little while to filter out, but you can see it is filtering. There you go, like so. And obviously you can just extend this wall. I usually only do about 6 to 8 boxes, and if you really wanted to, you actually extend this. So if you wanted this one to be armor as well, you just take this chain, so the industrial out, instead of going back to the conveyor, connect it up to here. And then send it back to the conveyor, like so. And now both of these will fill up with armor. So if I give myself one of this cool stuff, okay, there we go. Starting to fill the other side up as well. And the cool thing about this is now every single box in the system is a drop box. So in the tools crate, if I just put the wrong stuff in the wrong box like this, it says nope, I don't want to go in, I don't belong in this box. There we go, sucks it out, and it's going to put it back into these boxes instead. So, and obviously you can just extend this as much as you want. You can have as many drop boxes as you want, and if you come back into the wall of combiners, you can see here we have 8. You can set up to 8 arms, but if you need more arms, then you just add more combiners. If you need more arms, you set up more splitters, and you just keep doing more and more of these.